All right, so now that we've gone through the prophecy, we'll wrap it up here at the end, but I just want to talk about why there's so much deception on this subject. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward prophecy, especially when you understand it in the proper context, relating it to the prior visions in Daniel, and of course, understanding the relationship between the Hazon and the Mare in Daniel 8. It's relatively easy to understand when you, again, understand it in that proper context. But as I was saying in the beginning, there's so much confusion on this subject. There's so many different interpretations, if you will. And we just want to understand a little bit about why the 70th week of this prophecy was detached and put into the future. Now, this is the chart that we built in the Daniel study of the how to understand the book of Daniel. And what it showed is, again, I just keep repeating this over and over, but you had these kingdoms of Babylon, Media, Persia, Greece, Imperial Rome, Spiritual Rome, and then the kingdom of the Most High God being set up. This understanding became well known during the Protestant Reformation. And it, again, identifies Rome as this fourth kingdom and then the spiritual kingdom that would come from the Roman Empire. And we went through several quotes in the Daniel study, but we just see a couple here, one by Martin Luther. It says, "The kingdom of Babylon and of very Antichrist is fulfilled by the papal tyranny." Matthias or Matthias Flacius, it says, "By prophecies concerning the future and by the special characteristics of the papacy, it has been profusely and thoroughly proved that the Pope with his prelates and clergy is the great true Antichrist." This was a well-known truth by all of the Protestant reformers going back throughout history. Anyone who had the ability to study the Bible on their own could see that the prophecies all pointed forward to spiritual Rome being this biblical Antichrist. And that leads us to why there's confusion in this subject. Because in the 1500s, a gentleman by the name of Ignatius Loyola petitioned the papacy to start what became known as the Jesuit order. And the objective of the Jesuit order was to put an end to the Protestant Reformation that was identifying the Pope as Antichrist. And once the Jesuit order came into existence, two separate priests came up with two opposing doctrines on the Antichrist. One was preterism and one futurism. Preterism, which was coined by Luis del Alcazar, it taught that the Antichrist was in the past. And that's where we get the idea that Antiochus IV Epiphanes out of the Greek Empire was the Antichrist. And just a little bit of his teachings right here from Wikipedia. But again, just emphasizing that he believes that everything in the book of Revelation with regards to the apocalypse happened in the past. And you have variations of preterism, but the majority, I believe, that teach full preterism teach everything in the Bible was fulfilled in the year 70 AD. So that takes the eyes off the Antichrist and puts the Antichrist in the past. Now, the next was Futurism by Francisco Ribera. He taught, as the name would suggest, that the Antichrist is in the future and would be a single individual. And we can see from Wikipedia some of the doctrine of futurism. And it's from this doctrine that we get the secret rapture and the future Antichrist that comes after a secret rapture. This is the one where they take the 70th week of Daniel, put it in the future, and attribute that 70th week to this Antichrist, this futurism Antichrist. And what this does is it takes the eyes off the real Antichrist and just muddles the water. And that's why there's so much confusion on this topic. They incorrectly apply what should apply to Christ to the Antichrist. And that way, again, the true identity of Antichrist remains hidden. But all of these varying doctrines only breeds confusion. And 1 Corinthians 14 verse 33 says, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints." So this confusion was authored by the Jesuit order under authority of the papacy, and Scripture tells us whose authority the papacy is working under.